All right, I think we're live, guys. Well, it's been a hectic day getting ready for this. So it's a new great experience for us today. But first, let me say welcome to Amateur Radio Roundtable. Today is Tuesday, April 7th, 2015. This webcast is every Tuesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time or 0100 UTC on Wednesdays on W5KUB.com. Tonight is a very special night for us as we launch a new era in the webcast. This program is actually being simulcasted on shortwave radio on shortwave station WTWW on 9930 kilohertz. I'm already seeing reports from Australia and everywhere. Signal reports coming in, and they're saying it's just great signals down in Australia, S9. So we should have a number of shortwave listeners tuning in from a number of countries. So we should have a number of shortwave listeners tuning in from a lot of different countries out there. Because of our shortwave broadcast now, we're going to start including segments about shortwave listening. And we would like to invite every listener to join the webcast at W5KUB.com. if you can. So if you have a computer out there and you're listening to us on WTWW, go to W5KUB.com, W5KUB.com, and you can actually see the program. You'll be able to see the video. You'll be able to see the presenters. But we're opening this up to shortwave because many of us got our start in ham radio through shortwave. So join W5KUB.com. There's a chat room that you can click on. All you have to do is put your name in the user box. You don't need a password. Just enter your name and click the sign in button. And we'd love to hear from you in the chat room. Give us your location and a signal report if you can. Help us spread the word by telling your friends about this webcast. Post it on Facebook, send it out to your email friends, and so forth. And we would love for you to join our Facebook group for our webcast. That's where you'll get a lot of information about future webcast, times, dates, places. So just search in Facebook, just search for W5KUB in Facebook and join our Facebook group. You don't have to be a ham to join. Okay, tonight we've got a great lineup. Each one of you can join the live webcast in the second part of the show if you have a camera and a Google Plus account. We'll provide a link to click on that's going to allow you to come into our webcast. You know, the lineup tonight is going to include Fred Lloyd, AA7BQ. He's the founder of QRZ.com. After Fred, we have Jay James joining us, W4BSB. And Jay is going to talk about his HF remote radio sites, and he has a site in Texas and one in Virginia. And then we're going to move on up to New Jersey to Rich Mosseson, V2VU. He's the editor of CQ Magazine. Okay, so let me just make an announcement here real quick. You're listening to us on a shortwave radio station, WTWW, from Lebanon, Tennessee, in the United States of America. So we're going to have to modify our show a little bit tonight because we have shortwave listeners. They're all not seeing the picture. So tonight is an experiment for us. We're going to have to determine how we combine the shortwave and the video show. So if you're listening to us on shortwave, and if you can, please go to W5KUB.com. I'll give that to you phonetically. Whiskey 5 Kilo Uniform Bravo.com, where you can watch the show live. You can enter again into the chat room and talk to us directly through the chat room. Just enter your name, hit sign in. You don't need a password. Let us know where you are and give us a signal report. You can also email us. The email address is tom@w5kub.com. That's tom@w5kub.com. So I'm going to see if our first guest is here. I just checked a minute ago, and Fred was not available. Okay, well, Fred happens to not be available this exact moment, so we're going to go ahead on the show, and we're going to move on to Jay James. We're going to bring Jay in from Virginia. Hello, Jay. How are you doing?
Well, good evening, Tom. Good to see you.
Well, we're going to put you on first tonight. That was not in the schedule, but we're going to do that, and we're going to bring you into the show first. So, how you doing tonight?
I am doing absolutely fantastic.
Well,
thank you for having me as your guest this evening.
Well, that's great. And just hang in there a second. Since we're out of order, I want to just say a little about you. I don't know a whole lot about you, so you tell me if I'm wrong, or if I say something I shouldn't say, you tell me. But this is Jay James, W4BSB, from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Jay has done it all. He has retired 4 times, and he keeps finding new things to do. Wow. Jay, I only retired once, and that's enough for me, man. I don't know how you do it. Jay got his novice license in 1967, but within about 10 months, Jay had to put his radios to the side because he became an undercover narcotics investigator with the Virginia State Police. Now, Jay, I'm not giving out anything confidential, am I?
Not at all.
Okay. Now, you guys, everybody's looking at you, Jay, on the webcast here, and they're looking at you and featuring you with long hair right now and a mustache and a beard.
Yeah, I'll have to round that picture up, Tom. It's unique.
All right. So you were also a Virginia State Trooper, and hey, if anybody has traveled through Virginia, this guy may have pulled you over once or twice. He's worked for the federal government. He's worked for the state and local governments. He's worked in public safety and commercial radio communications. And presently, he is an IT network operations manager for several companies. Even with all this work, Jay has found time to enjoy ham radio. So tonight, he's going to talk to us about his remote HF radio sites in Virginia and Texas. His website is w4bsb.net. So, hello, Jay, and welcome to the program. How you doing tonight?
Doing very well, Tom, and thank you for having me as your guest. This is a topic that I have always enjoyed. I've been doing remote broadcasts now to both of my stations, the one here in Virginia Beach, as you mentioned, and also the one out in Texas. For those of us that have been around broadcasting or commercial or state and local government radio are familiar with how to remote. In this day and time, we no longer have, of course, wireline that we can go from the PD down the street to a tower or sometimes up a mountainside or whatever. We used to use, of course, a microwave link to go up the mountain to control transmitters, and or perhaps a wireline to going from the real estate office over to their towers a short distance away. Nothing new about remoting transmitters. In the 70s and 80s, we had point-to-point dedicated telephone lines, at least by the month, from Marbell or a microwave link for, dispatch or broadcast studio point-to-point.
Power off.
And then along came the Internet. Worldwide communications, point-to-point in milliseconds, and a good control system for remote access to transmitters that are located at distant places. I've had the site in Virginia Beach up for about 6 years, and the one out in Texas up about 5. We continue to improve on both, and I thoroughly enjoy the hobby. It's getting to the point now where I'm so involved in the hobby with projects that I may have to retire here by the end of the year.
Well, I think you need to retire after 4. I mean, you're not a cat, where you have 9 lives there, Jay.
Well, I'm working on the 9th one.
All right. Well, I know you are. So, hey, Jay, I've got some pictures here we're going to throw up. I pulled off your website, and we can talk about them just a little bit here. So let's see here. Here's a picture here of your website. Let me make sure you can see that. There you go. You want to tell us a little about your website there and what all is on there?
Yeah, that's the w4bsb.net site. And basically everything that I'll talk about tonight can be found somewhere on that site. If you look at the top of the site, you'll see Stream 1, which is the live East Coast HF radio. And by clicking on the on air, you can come directly into the East Coast feed and log in. You'll want to use the fastest connection, which of course is the one at the very top. That'll allow you to listen to the traffic that you see on the schedule of times that's located on the left-hand column of the schedule. Currently, we are on 3938 KHZ, and we will stay there until 7:59 in the morning. The Texas station, which is the icon below, there are two links to that. It's currently being linked to Bob Bellar's 24/7 stream feed in Texas, which follows the same schedule as mine. I'm limited as to the number of users that I can have on Stream 3, which is the Venus, Texas tower stream. I can only have 20 at a time. And looking at it, it looks like I have about 14 now. That is going to greatly improve once I get fiber into that site. Let's talk a little bit more about the technology.
Yeah, do you want to go to the next picture? Let's show a picture of the shack there, or one of your locations.
Okay, that's the Texas location. Both of those 19-inch rack mount panels are identical, with the exception of the size of the monitor. Here in Virginia Beach is smaller. You can probably see it in my picture in the background. When it comes back up, it's to my left in the background. This particular picture is of the Texas station. It has two amplifiers. One is an ALS 500, the other one is a ACOM. And of course, it can be operated from the rack mount position by keyboard right in front of it, or remotely.
All right. Now you've got the identical setup both in Venus, Texas, and there in Virginia, right?
Yes, they're both identical rack mounts.
Okay, and here's one of the Ten-Tech radios.
Yeah, both locations use the Ten-Tech Omni 7 remote because of its ease in remote use, and I use two software programs to control both stations. One is a software program called Go to My PC, which is no more than a maintenance channel, and it allows me direct contact in if something happens to the equipment, or if I need to update the computer information on the radio at the remote sites. The other is software provided by N4PY. That's Carl out of North Carolina, and his software is compatible with many brands of equipment. And I've been using this software exclusively now ever since I started the remote controls.
So, Jay, there's a couple questions here. They're wanting to know what method of remote control do you use in the event the internet goes out?
I have transmitter timers, shut-off timers that shut off in 3 minutes.
Okay, and let's see. There was another question. What is the spectrum in your shortwave programming? I'm not sure I understand that, but maybe if you can understand it, or they can send us the question again. Okay, let's go on to the next picture. There, we saw your radio there. Here's a picture. It looks like someone operating the site there.
Yes, that is, again, of the Venus, Texas site, and that is one one of the operators from that area. He's using that site for the W1AW event, all states event last year.
Okay, and you allow people to come in and operate your station there, I guess, right?
Yes, I do. I control who can operate it. It's set up so that if the Johnson County Emergency Services needs it for whatever purpose, that amateur radio group, they can tie into it directly, and with my permission, they can use it and operate it as necessary.
Okay, now here's a picture here behind your name there. It says there are 8 miles of radios. You got 8 miles there of radios?
Yes, that is correct. That's of the Venus, Texas site, and that's true. They're below that tower site there in Venus, and you have another picture of it you can show in a little bit.
Yeah, let's look at
that site. Below that site are 8 miles of radials.
That's a lot of wire.
Now that site has multiple towers. I think the count now is about 15. And I was very fortunate to get that site for remote use. The site is operated and owned by Gary Pinnell, WA5FWC, who also has a web page, WA5FWC.net. And if the visitors care to go to that address, they can also see some more details of the Venus, Texas site.
All right, that's cool. Now here is, I guess, tell us who this is. He looks like he's having fun.
What's that? Oh, that's Josh Berry. He's a young college student majoring in electrical engineering, and that was taken a couple of years ago, but in 2012. Josh is one of our helpers at the ranch.
Well, he looks happy up there. Let's see. Now, he looks like he took a picture while he was up there. Here's an aerial view of some of the towers.
Yeah, that particular picture, Tom, was taken from one of the quad towers, the 150-foot quad towers that are at the front of the property. It's looking back beyond. My tower is located just to the east or just to the left of the cell phone tower that you see. And that particular picture is taken. The building you see in the back is an aircraft hangar. And Gary has a Stearman, I guess an early 1942 Stearman back there. The grass strip behind it is used for model airplanes and also can be used for private aircraft. Okay.
Now, you told me that basically both sites, your Virginia and Texas site, are pretty identical, with the exception of the towers. You haven't duplicated all the antenna systems at both places.
Oh, no, I have not. Here I just use a basically inverted V here at the beach. And out at the Texas site, I have the availability of 10 different antennas that I can choose from, although I normally stay on the Delta loop.
Okay. Now, do you allow, is it mainly for the locals there in Texas to operate your station, or do you have people scattered around the country that operate your station?
No, generally it's local. I can set it up. There are several people that in the last 6 months have retired and are moving into not a nursing home, but just an adult senior citizen center, and they can't have antennas or transmitters in there. So I made arrangements with a couple of those that they'll be able to use this remotely from their laptop, from their apartment, if you will, at the senior centers.
Well, that's really nice, and hey, it's a powerful station, and you've done it right. I just can't imagine being able to operate with stations like that.
Well, I think one of the things that makes it so unique, Tom, I can be anywhere in the world. As an example, I can be in the Hilton Hotel in downtown Honolulu and use my laptop and use the station back in the States. I've done that frequently, and also from Mexico.
That is so cool, Jay. Well, look, Jay, tell us about this. Here's your car right here. Now, you didn't what I'll say. You got just about everything in this car, man. I mean, you got a nice setup in your car. Tell us what you got there.
Oh, that's my toy box. At my age, if you're going to have an amateur radio toy box, you might as well do it right. And that has all the necessary toys, Tom, to make any amateur real proud, including one of those devices in the console with a Roger Beat mic. I think we called it CB back then.
Yeah. So what kind of radios and amps and antennas are you using there?
Well, I've got HF, of course, and I've got HF, and I've got public safety. I've got 2 meters, 440. The HF uses a 500 watt solid state ALS 500, and the little Tar Heel 2. That's good for 300, so I normally run about 300 watts on it. The VHF and the UHF station, one of them, or one of the mobiles, is I think 50 watts, and the other is 100. Then I've got a various assortment of monitors and scanning gear in there, as well as a laptop and an iPad. As soon as we get the DMR repeater up and running, I have a DMR radio, a CS800. They'll be going in there for DMR use here in our area and when I travel.
Okay, well, you probably have more things in that car than we have in here when we go on our webcast trips here. We had a question. There was a question from WB0EOD asking if there's any special licensing for remote control sites. Anything special you have to deal with?
No, there is not. You have to simply license it as you would any other transmitter. The fact that it's remote controlled and the station is controlled entirely remotely and automatically, there's no site license required.
Okay. Well, any last comments that you might have here, Jay, before we move on in the show?
Well, if someone wants to see the lineup in the toy box, they can go to QRZ and look up Whiskey 4 Bravo Sierra Bravo, and that'll give some details of everything that's in the toy box.
All right, very good. And we gave that address out earlier. Maybe people will go ahead and click on it and look and see all the different things that maybe we didn't have time to talk about. You know, we've got a lot of shortwave listeners on here tonight. I don't know how many yet, but you actually took your message probably to a number of people. I'm seeing they're hearing us and watching and hearing us down in as far as Australia. S9 signals in Australia tonight.
Yeah, I've assisted several hams in Germany and also down in Mexico and over in Hawaii to get a similar setup done, and with total success. One of the things, let me point out, Tom, is almost critical. At least it's very important. Don't expect, if you have a wireless connection in this scenario, you don't expect it to be good all of the time. You need to have at least something like a very good high-speed broadband or high-speed fiber, or perhaps just a good cable feed. If the weak link in the entire system, in my system in Texas, is the wireless section that leads wireless link from Dallas down to the ranch. And at various times, even though I have a high-speed connection, because of the number of users on that particular node, I do experience broken packets during the transmit modes, but all that will be fixed as soon as I get. Hopefully by later this summer, I'll have. I have a Verizon fiber at the site. I already have it at the site. I just can't get it into the transmitter rooms yet.
Well, all right. Well, I tell you what, we're going to have you on some shows later down the road, and you can give us an update when that fiber gets in, and we can talk a little more about the remote HF sites.
All right. I'll put this out. If anyone has any questions and would like some little further information, they're welcome to give me email.
Okay.
Which is, my main email is letter J, AMES at whiskey4BravoSierraBravo.net. I'll be happy to accommodate any questions anybody has.
All right. Well, I think you're truly an expert there with the remote sites, and you got a couple of beautiful sites there. You may be getting some emails from people and that have some questions, and we will have you back on here again later. Jay, we thank you very much for coming on our show tonight.
Absolutely, and Tom, thank you for having me aboard. I appreciate it. 73 to everybody listening.
Yeah, 73 to you. Okay, that was Jay James in Virginia talking about his remote HF systems. And we're trying to see if we can get Fred Lloyd on. It's early out where Fred is. It's about 6:30 out there, so he may have run into traffic or something. So we will bring him back in a little while and give him time to get home. Again, we want to welcome all of our shortwave listeners. You're listening to us on shortwave radio, WTWW, 9930 kilohertz from Lebanon, Tennessee. Now, I believe at the top of the hour, in 30 minutes, the frequency is going to change automatically. So I'll try to remind everybody, but in 30 minutes, at the top of the hour, I believe the frequency changes to 5085, 5085 kilohertz. So I think there will be an announcement, but if not, that's where we went. So if you're out there listening on shortwave, I hope you're in the chat room. But please send us an email, tom@w5kub.com. Tell us where you are. But again, you're listening to WTWW. We're simulcasting the Amateur Radio Roundtable tonight. Now, Amateur Radio Roundtable started out as a ham radio webcast, but we're expanding it to be more electronics, more things like Arduino. We have things like near space balloon launches, and we want to make a portion for shortwave listeners, because all of us ham radio operators at one time were shortwave listeners, and I can remember the days 50 years ago when I would listen on that big old Zenith shortwave radio, and it was just magic back then. And I'd like to thank Ted Randall, WB8PUM, for making this possible to simulcast the show on shortwave. Ted is going to be joining us as a regular on the show, and he has a lot to bring to the show. Ted has his regular QSO radio programs, and we're gonna use his talents, and we're gonna come together and try to put together a great show for you guys. So if you're listening on shortwave, please go to w5kub.com, where you can watch the show live. I'll repeat it. That's w5kub.com. You can also enter the chat room, and you can talk to us. All you have to do is just enter your name and hit sign in. You don't need a password. We'd love to hear from our new radio listeners out there. Send us a signal report. I'll go ahead and say hello to Massachusetts out there, coming in clear through his HT. Okay, very good. Well, so far Richard's not available, so let me try Fred again out in Scottsdale, Arizona. Let's see if Fred is here. Well, that's a little unusual. This is the first time we've had two guests that we have not been able to get on a show. Each week we've been 100%, but this week is not over yet, so we're not going to give up. So let's skip down the schedule here, and let's just talk about a few things here. We're going to be webcasting the Memphis, Tennessee Hamfest this Saturday, April the 11th, from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. Central Daylight Time. That means it starts at 1400 UTC on Saturday, right here on W5KUB.com. Now, we will be giving out prizes to our viewers. And let me say, if any of you guys have ever watched any of our webcasts, we give out a lot of prizes each year. Approximately $10,000 in prizes go to our viewers. All you got to do is, if we call your name, you just say, "I'm here," and the prize is shipped to you. You don't have to pay anything or do anything like that. Everything's totally free. So Free Fest is what the Memphis Hamfest is called. That is on Saturday, April 11th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. There will be prizes. And then one of the next big shows we've got coming up is the Dayton Hamvention. It's a big radio convention up in Ohio. Maybe about 20,000 to 30,000 people will be there. All kinds of stuff. We're going to be webcasting that. And let's see, let me get the right mouse here. We're going to be webcasting from Dayton. You'll be able to tune in and watch it. From Dayton will be our friend is joining us, astronaut Douglas Wheelock. Colonel Douglas Wheelock will be joining us on Friday in Dayton. That's Friday, May 15th, I believe is the date. He will be a co-host on our show with us. He was with us last year, and he was with us a few years earlier. And Doug and I first met when I worked him by radio in the International Space Station. I worked him about 30 times 1 month, and we sent him barbecue for his first meal after being in space 6 months. And I think he liked that barbecue so much, he decided to come see us, and he's been coming to see us ever since then. So Doug will be there if you're in Dayton. He'll sign autographs, and you can get your picture made with him and so forth. But that will be that'll be our webcast from Dayton, Ohio. We'd like to ask everyone if they would please join our Facebook group. Just search for W5KUB in Facebook, and if you'll search for W5KUB in Facebook, you join our Facebook group, and there is a link at the bottom of the chat room. There's a bottom at the chat room that you can click on that will link you to our Facebook group. Please sign it. And I think we got an announcement coming in. On Skype? I don't know what Skype ID. Would you call him back, please? Okay, Ted Randall's going to join us. Ted was running late tonight, but Ted's going to join us there. There's a couple of shots of our little makeshift studio right here. That's a shot from the right side, and there's a shot right there from the left side. Well, let's see. Okay, let's see what we got going here. Everybody stand by. All right, Ted, you there? Ted, can you hear me? Oh, wait a minute, Ted, look. Oh, you can't look, but everybody out on the radio, you can see why it's not working. This wire is not plugged into the mixer board. So let me plug this in, and now he's going to be real loud, probably. Okay, let's try it again, Ted. You're now plugged into the mixer. Oh, man, let me tell you, I'm going to have to buy some new speakers. How you doing tonight, Ted?
Would that help?
Yeah, how you doing, man?
Oh, pretty good. I wanted to have a chance to join you earlier, but time just did not allow tonight. Just too many projects, too many irons in the fire. But we've got it on. Was watching the video, and I didn't know how you were situated as far as guests. If Fred had showed up, but I wanted to jump in and say hello and say hello to all of our shortwave listeners out there, and of course the folks that are watching by means of the video on W5KUB.com, and just encourage folks to join every week, because this, even though you've had some difficulties tonight, which is normal for a live broadcast, but you're carrying it well, and I think everyone's enjoying watching.
Oh, boy, it's been some night. You know, people don't know that we actually didn't get the shortwave feed up to about 20 minutes before the show tonight.
Well, you know, you're trying to do an awful lot of stuff there. Normally there's a, like a television producer, and then the host sits on the set and conducts his interviews and stuff, and then somebody else is pushing the buttons, but you're doing everything. So that makes it doubly hard, but it also makes you very creative in order to be able to do all that.
Well, Ted, I know on your show, you've got all your engineers surrounding you. You've got a person to turn every knob and every switch. Like you said, I'm working Skype, I'm working the phone, I'm doing all the different levels, and I'm trying to read the teleprompter. So I need to come up to Nashville and spend a little time with you and learn how to make this thing better. But it's great to have you on here, and Ted, we really appreciate what you're doing to get this out on shortwave. Hopefully Ted's going to be a regular on the show. Ted says he has a what does he say? He said he has a face for radio. Now, Ted, I don't think you look that bad, man. I think on TV you'll do okay.
Oh, I've avoided doing anything in front of a camera, because I just think, there's some people just ought not to be allowed on a television camera, and I'm probably one of those people. But I will say this, you're originating this thing is just another milestone for amateur radio. Anything that we can do to promote this hobby. This hobby is an incredible hobby, and video does do things that audio by itself cannot. You can illustrate, you can show, people get pictures. On the other hand, there is a vast listening audience on shortwave, and of course that's our first love, and is radio broadcasting, and radio through the airwaves, where people right now on a little tiny portable shortwave could be sitting in their backyard with no internet connection and listening to your broadcast right now, and that's of course what we think is absolutely the coolest. On the other hand, doing QSO, the QSO radio show, is all audio, and that's a lot less complex, by a milestone, than trying to do video. Video has got a lot of stuff involved in it, and that's one of the reasons why we haven't dabbled with it, because I can produce QSO, single-handedly, so to speak, and I'm not worried about cameras. My son David is very heavily involved in video, and he was just mentioning, he said, he's using Wirecast. Okay, see, and I have absolutely no idea what Wirecast is. But he knows what it is because he uses it every day. But I'm glad that I'm glad this has worked out. I'm glad this first show has made it on shortwave. Many more to come, and there'll be, I'm sure, a lot of people listening on shortwave that will then not tune, but actually log in on the W5KUB website and be able to watch the videos and everything like that. I think, and it's, what's weird I found with QSO especially, and that is people listen. They'll listen to a live broadcast, like I do a country music show on Sunday nights and Saturday nights. They'll listen live on shortwave, and sometimes they listen online and they go back to the shortwave. It's really interesting to watch the way the audience divides. It's kind of an unexpected thing. I never really expected that, but that's what we found. So has there any word from anyone else? Have you got somebody ready to come on here? Do I need to let you go and see if you can't find your other guest, if they're available? Richard Moses, and I think you said from CQ Magazine, was about ready to come on.
Yeah. Let me do one thing. Excuse me, Ted. When I turned my wireless mic off, they said a little squeal, high pitch, it went away. I changed wireless mics. I just wonder if somebody can give us a report now to see if that cleared up that little problem. we've got. Ted, there's a question on here. They're wondering, do you have any estimates of how many people actually listen to shortwave or like some of your programs?
Oh boy, that's a difficult question because shortwave doesn't fall inside of any markets where there is measurement devices. AM and FM is all measured. But let me just say this: when we do a music show on Saturday nights or Sunday nights, typically within 1 hour, we can have as many as 600, 700 emails come in, and they're from, believe it or not, mostly in the United States, but then a good chunk overseas. And the people respond extremely well. Now, one thing I have found, and that is the shortwave listener, they really listen. These are not passive listeners. So when they tune you in, they're listening to you. And they let you know. And they let you know when they don't like what you're doing, and they let you know when they love it. But I think the BBC had some sort of thing that they had said where at any time of the day or night, there's about 300 million people tuned into shortwave radio somewhere in the world. Yeah, a little earlier there was a high-pitched squeal, but it wasn't where I was listening. It wasn't all that it wasn't that bad, at least from where I was at. I could hear it in the background, but anomalies like that happen sometimes. I don't know what it is. Every time we seem to do a broadcast live, we'll find a hum somewhere. And the hum will be in the console. It'll look all over the place to try to find the hum. And sometimes it's just really hard to, especially when you're moving around. If you changed anything in the studio, there's a good chance you could develop a hum or some sort of noise. And it's hard to track down sometimes.
Yeah, and especially while you're on the air. So I turned the wireless mic off. I'm on a hand mic now. It's amazing how many people out there listen to shortwave. I being a shortwave listener myself, I enjoyed the hobby, but I was thinking, over the years maybe that's dying off. But I think you told me you had some statistics on shortwave listening and how it's actually they're selling more shortwave radios than they are regular radios. Is that right?
Well, there's a company in China. Their name is Texsun, T-E-C-S-U-N, and for those that want to check them out on the Internet, the site's a little hard to find, but if you get deep into the site, they've got all kinds of interesting things and pictures and whatnot that kind of blow the mind. But they had published somewhere in an article or something that they manufactured 30,000 shortwave radios a day, and I thought, that can't be right. That's got to be a misprint. So I called them. I got on the telephone and called, and I got their public relations person on the phone, and the gentleman was incredibly informative, and he said, no. He said, we make about that number of sets per day, and he sent me pictures of of young kids in white lab coats at soldering stations on like 4 or 5 floors. I mean, just hundreds of them on each floor. And they had, of course, I guess, some sort of an assembly process. But he sent me that and pictures of automated machinery that was doing some, like, soldering of creating circuit boards and stuff. And so, he began to tell me about all the places. There was a tremendous number of these radios that go into China, especially in the outlying areas where there's not electricity, and also into Africa and India. But in the United States, he was telling me all of our Radio Shack stores stocked these Texsun radios under the name of Grundig and Eton, and I forget, but even the Radio Shack brand. So between that and eBay and places like Universal Radio and Gigaparts and all these places sell an awful lot of shortwave radios, and they're everywhere. I mean, they're small, they're portable. When Willis Conover was with the Voice of America and he did a jazz show, the BBC estimated that his audience was like 30 million. That was years ago, and shortwave radios sat on tabletops. They had tubes in them back then. And today, you can hold them in the palm of your hand, and they're pretty handy. So they're widespread. Once again, They don't require an internet connection. They run on batteries, and then a lot of times, like listening to this show here, there's times and places where it would be more convenient to listen to it on shortwave, than it would be to try to track down a computer or be stuck in front of a computer, if that makes any sense. But anyhow,
well, I'm not shooting. I'm not shooting for 30 million people tonight, but 20 million would be nice. But hey, I'm surprised. I mean, Australia giving you just perfect signal reports tonight. That really surprised me.
Well, we have a lot of kangaroos listening in Australia.
Hey, do you remember the name of the company that you were talking about in China?
Texun, Tecsun.
There it is. Yeah, that's Mario up in Canada came up with Texun about the same time you did. Well, Ted, again, thank you very much. Hey, let me ask you a question again now. In 7 minutes, are we changing frequency?
Yeah, we'll be going at the top of the hour. We go to 5085, 5085, or 5.085 megahertz, or 5085 kilohertz, whichever you prefer.
Well, all right. Well, you know what that's going to mean. We're going to probably lose some viewers out there, but we're going to gain some new ones out there when we change frequency. So in about 6 minutes, we're going to go to 5085. Okay, Ted, well, thanks very much. I'm going to go ahead and pick Richard up now since he's on here. Any last words? Again, just we want to say thank you so much for bringing the shortwave and the video together here. I think we're going to build a really, really nice show that's going to really be watched by a lot of people out there. We really appreciate it.
No, I'm looking forward to hearing Richard Moseson on, and you be sure if you can't hear me, tell him I said hello, and we'll be tuned in and listening, and you guys continue on past the frequency change. But 73, and we'll speak again soon.
Okay, well, thanks, Ted, and I'll get with you the next day or two. Call me when you have some free time. Okay?
All righty.
All right, 73, Ted. Thank you. That was Ted Randall, WB8PUM. And let's see what we got going here. Richard, Rich, we got a little out of order here, but that's okay. Not a problem at all. The show just keeps on going. Hey, guys, first let me make a quick announcement. You're listening to us on 9930. Hey, in 4 minutes, the webcast, the shortwave station is going to change frequency. We're going to 5085 kilohertz at the top of the hour, so you might want to get ready to tune over there. So we're on WTWW in Lebonon, Tennessee. It's in the United States of America. We've already had great signal reports from Australia tonight, so the signal's getting out very good. Be sure to tune in to 5085 kilohertz there in about 3 minutes. And thanks again to Ted Randall, WB8PUM, for making the broadcast possible tonight. And as we talked, Ted's going to be joining us as a regular member of the Ham Radio Roundtable show. If you're listening to us on shortwave, please go to w5kub.com, where you can watch the show live. You can also enter into the chat room and you can talk to us. Just enter your name, hit the sign-in button. You don't need a password. That's w5kub.com. And I was just signaled. I had to do a technical adjustment here. Okay. W5KUB.com. Let us know where you are. Give us a signal report out there. And you can also email us at tom@w5kub.com. Join our Facebook group. There's a button below the chat room. We'd like to keep you informed of our webcast. Hey, next we have Rich. Now, Rich, I need a little help on your last name. How do you pronounce that? Moseson. Okay, Moseson. Okay, I've got that. Very good. 3 syllables. Okay, I looked at it a couple different ways, but I thought that's how it was going to go. But Rich is W2VU. He's up in Bloomfield, New Jersey. Rich is the editor of CQ Magazine. He's been a ham since 1970, and he was the ARRL section manager for his area for 8 years. He's also the former chairman of the ARRL Public Relations Committee. And Rich is the founding editor of CQ VHF. So, Richard, welcome to the show, and let's talk about CQ Magazine. How you doing tonight?
I'm fine, thank you. Glad to be with you.
Oh, let's see.
Hello to Ted as well.
All right. Okay, we just had an audio level adjustment. I think you broke everybody's speakers, but that was my fault.
Sorry about that.
That was my fault. Okay, so CQ Magazine. I'm a subscriber to CQ Magazine, and boy, there's a lot to talk about tonight. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you guys are involved in. First, let's just get out of the way. I know some of the magazines have come out a little late, but you guys are hanging in there, and you're making sure they get out to us. So I know the economic recovery has not been good. So how's that been affecting CQ Magazine?
Well, as most of us who are not bankers or stockbrokers know, this economic recovery is in some ways more myth than fact. We seem to have missed a few memos on it, and it's affected us as it's affected a lot of people, and it's affected our advertisers, and it's been a very, very slow moving recovery, and we are as affected by that slowness of it as anyone else. It's been a real challenge over the last year and a half or so. It's not just CQ either. The entire magazine industry is going through some challenging times, and kind of having to reinvent itself as it goes along, and we're part of that process.
Well, all right. Well, I know you guys are working hard, and the magazine does keep coming out, and hopefully this economy and everything's going to get better soon, and we'll all live happily ever after there. Hey, just real quick, I see Joe K0NEB in the chat room there. I think he wants to check in and make sure you know he's here. It was mandatory, I think, that we had to have him here from. He's the kit builder. What is he? Kit builder, guru, editor?
He's our kit building editor. Yes.
Yeah, right. So Joe does a lot on kit building, and he's in here tonight. So very good.
Hello, Joe.
And we just changed frequency to 50, 80 kilohertz, and I think now some people that were listening to us don't hear us anymore. And this is a very good example of how ham radio works. You hear somebody and you don't hear somebody. So we went from almost 10 megs down to 5 megs, and we're going to have a different group of the world listening, I'm sure, right now. So, hey, Rich, let's talk about hard copy of the magazine versus the digital copy. I know you guys offer both. How's the digital copy going over, and what are your plans for that?
The digital copy is doing quite well. We've got right now about a third of our readership is subscribing to the digital edition and 2/3 to the print edition. And as digital editions of magazines go, that's a pretty impressive number, actually. And we intend to keep both options available to people and hopefully get them back in sync with each other in terms of when we get them out. Right now people just got their March print editions, while the April digital edition has been live for about a week now. We're working as hard as we can to bring those back in line with each other.
So I see you mostly, I see you in Dayton, I think, and I see you down in Huntsville. You're always down in Huntsville. And we've always webcast the Young Ham of the Year. I know CQ is involved in the Young Ham of the Year. So what do you guys do with that program?
We've been one of the corporate co-sponsors of the Young Ham of the Year program for many years now. I don't remember exactly how many, along with Yesu and Heil. And we help to provide some material stuff for the winners, in addition to just the satisfaction of knowing that you've been recognized by your peers as the Young Ham of the Year. What we usually do is provide a trip to space camp for the winter. And Yaesu provides radio gear, Heil provides microphones, and so we all get together to help whoever is chosen as Young Ham of the Year to have some good stuff to sustain them in the hobby as they move forward, because a lot of the young hams are either just entering college or just entering high school, and it's good to have that backup there of support of equipment and activities and things to show them how much they're appreciated. And I am always encouraged. I'm also serve on the judging committee, and I hear so many people worrying about the future of ham radio. And when I look at these nominees every year, I don't worry about the future of ham radio, because we've got some fantastic young people out there doing fantastic things. And I only wish we had the opportunity on the Young Ham of the Year award committee to consider more of them. Last year, we didn't have enough nominees to give an award, but we know that they're out there. In fact, in our May issue of CQ, we're going to be running an article by Carol Perry, WB2MGP, who's the Youth Activities Director for the Radio Club of America, on the Young Achievers program that she has put together for RCA. And some of the people that she's gotten for that, and her annual youth forum at Dayton. There are some fantastic young people out there, and the future of the hobby is in good hands when you look at some of these kids and what they're doing.
Yeah, there's a lot out there, and unfortunately, they just don't get nominated. So we've got to do a better job, all of us hams, to find those special kids out there that are doing something great with ham radio, and letting the world know that. Let's see. Let me switch here a little bit. Let's go on. Hey, what about the different publications? You guys had Popular Communications, World Radio, CQ, VHF. So how's all that coming together? What are you doing with that right now?
Well, because of the economic situation, we were forced at the end of last year to merge all of those into CQ. Unfortunately, the market has been changing in the shortwave arena, certainly, as any of the shortwave listeners out there know all too well. More and more international broadcasters are going off of shortwave and relying on the internet and satellites to get their message out. We happen to think that it's penny wise and pound foolish, because I think that most of the people that they most want to reach with their messages are not those who have broadband internet connections or satellite receivers. But we can only tell them what we think and can't influence their decisions. But the bottom line is that there's less to listen to. Those who are dedicated shortwave listeners may find a silver lining in this, in that it may be easier to tune in some of the more difficult to find stations. But when you get the powerhouses that introduce so many of us to the radio hobby leaving the air, like Radio Canada International, Voice of Russia, Deutsche Welle, it's really a sad thing. But from a bottom line perspective, from publishing a magazine about shortwave listening, it makes it very, very difficult. And the other side of PopCom was scanning. And for a variety of reasons, more and more public safety agencies in particular are going to encrypted communications. And again, there's less to listen to. So that makes it very difficult for selling radios, which makes it difficult to advertise radios. So that whole picture of that part of the radio hobby has changed, and it could no longer support the publication. we stopped publishing Popular Communications as a separate magazine at the same time that Monitoring Times stopped publication, and for the same basic reasons. The market just wasn't there to support it anymore. So we combined all of the magazines into CQ, and we did an experiment for a year with adding material from those magazines to our digital edition. So the digital edition was about 50 or 60 pages longer than the printed edition every month, with additional content that had come from the three magazines that were merged in. Content-wise, it worked fine. Economically, though, it didn't. The digital advertising marketplace is not there yet, despite what you may read places about digital being where it's at. People are not willing to put their money where their mouths are, so to speak, in terms of purchasing advertising in particular in a digital edition. And again, it's not just us. It's throughout the magazine industry. So what we are doing as of our March issue, which I just saw go by on the screen there a minute ago, is we have stopped publishing CQ Plus as the additional material and have tried to combine as much of that as we can into CQ. So as of the March issue, the print and digital editions of CQ are identical. And we have managed to add 7 of the columns that appeared in CQ Plus into the column rotation for CQ. Every month, we have Jerry Dexter's listening post on news of shortwave broadcast and shortwave listening, with his loggings that he gets in from readers. At the moment, they are in our online listening post landing page, and we're going to be bringing some of them, some of the featured ones, into the magazine itself as of the June issue. Jerry and I have just been discussing this over the last couple of days. And starting in June, we're going to be pulling some of the juicier loggings into the magazine itself, with the complete listings remaining online.
So here's a question from W0EOD. Does CQ have any new topical editions that have caught fire in popularity? Is there anything new that you're doing? And also, I guess, kind of on the same thing, is CQ print edition demand greater in any specific region of the USA?
I really don't know what the distribution is of the magazine geographically. That's not something that I've ever been asked before, and I don't know what the answer is to that. It's an interesting question, but I don't know the answer to it.
Hey, when I was pulling up, when I was pulling up your CQ cover, first I pulled up a Japanese magazine. I thought it was your magazine in Japan. It was called CQ Ham Radio or something. It looked very similar.
There is a Japanese CQ magazine. They're not related to us.
Okay, all right.
We do have related magazines in Spain and in Brazil, however, that do publish under license from us and use a mix of our articles that have been translated and original material as well. So we have worldwide reach in that regard, and in terms of our digital edition, obviously.
So I may...
We're asking about topics. The big topics right now, very popular, are QRP and building, as Joe can attest. We're starting to get more and more articles in on using microcontrollers such as Arduinos and Raspberry Pis in ham projects. And that's looks like a real growth area.
Oh yeah, and we're doing a lot of shows about Arduino here. You may have already answered this. I'm really busy tonight turning knobs and stuff. This is the first night we've added shortwave, so a lot going on. So, excuse me if you've already answered this, but does the CQ Digital Edition, does it give a person anything additional that the CQ magazine does not? And if so, are you still continuing that, and is it a different cost?
It did for the past year when we had the CQ Plus supplement. We had an extra 50 or 60 pages every month of material that had been merged in from PopCom, from CQ VHF, and from World Radio Online. Unfortunately, that did not work out from an economic perspective, so we've discontinued CQ Plus as a supplement, and we're merging in material as we can into CQ itself. There are 7 columns that have carried over into our rotation, and when we get good feature articles that deal with parts of the radio hobby beyond just the borders of ham radio, then we certainly will consider them as well. And we've had a couple of those so far, and we'll continue doing that. Our digital edition is a separate subscription from the print issue, but that price has not changed at this point since we've introduced it.
One of the questions that I received from England was, do you guys pay for articles? For example, over there, they pay so much money per page.
We do, and we pay on a word rate and picture rate. It's there are a couple of different ways of doing it. Unfortunately, we are kind of behind right now because of the economics, so it's been taking quite a while to get stuff out to people, but we do keep track.
Okay, well, good. Hey, what's your next couple issues going to have? Can you share with us any secrets that are going to be in there?
Sure, I'd love to. Our April issue, which is out in the digital edition, is already out live. That's has the single sideband results of last year's CQ Worldwide DX contest. A fascinating article on fox hunting and chasing a balloon and getting the Coast Guard involved. And
that sounds exciting.
Yeah, it was a really cool article. We have an article on one-way propagation and review of the R-Finder app for iPhone and Android, kind of a online repeater directory that does, or smartphone repeater directory rather, that does a lot more than that. Articles on helping to promote ham radio, technical piece on understanding the broadband reflection coefficient bridge. We have, you've all heard of software-defined radios. We have our antennas column in April is about software-defined antennas, and it's not an April Fool's story either.
Oh, man, I've got to see that.
And that's in the April issue, which is live online now, and hopefully will be getting in the mail pretty soon. Coming up in May, which we're just getting ready to close up, we've got the inside story of the K1N expedition to Navassa Island. Really fascinating. We've got Carol Perry's story that I mentioned earlier before about her young achievers in the Radio Club of America. We have the CW results of the CQ Worldwide DX contest, as well as the RTTY results, which were delayed by some software glitches over past couple of months. We have an article, again, we were just talking about this, putting Arduino to work in your ham shack.
Well, I take the magazine and subscribe, and I tell you, I would love to see more articles on home brewing. I like building stuff, and I think we don't see that as much as we used to back in the, I'll call it the olden days, before the TV and the telephone were invented. But I like to build things, and we're going to start having a segment on our show here about home brewing. I've got some people England. And actually they have members across the world that are doing some major home brewing projects. We're working on together right now to come up with a regular segment on home brewing, and We'll be bringing that on the show here pretty soon. So, yeah, go ahead.
That's, it's an area of growing interest. You're right that we went into kind of a lull in that for probably about 15 years as interest changed, and now the interest is ramping back up, in part due perhaps to the maker movement, and but we've been having more and more project articles. We have Joe's column every month on kit building, and a variety of project articles. Again, more and more. We've got one coming up again back to the Arduino, and I think you had a guest on a little earlier talking about remote operations. This is an article that is on using an Arduino to help keep track of your IP address for remote operating, because it's very important if you're controlling your station remotely over the internet to be able to keep track of your IP address, and your providers often change them if you go offline or something. And this is a really neat little project for using an Arduino to help keep you posted on any changes in your IP address. So it's mix and match of all sorts of different technology, as hams have done for decades, and stuff to build.
So another question, is it available, and it used to be, on newsstands?
Not at the moment. We were on the newsstands. Unfortunately, the newsstand industry went through a really major restructuring a few years back. They used to have like 2 or 3 dozen distributors around the country that served all the different newsstands, and that consolidated to 3. And when you have less competition, you have higher prices. And they kept adding in little fees and things like that until it got to the point where we were losing money on every magazine that we sold on the newsstand. And while you never make much on newsstand sales because everybody has to get their piece of the pie, you got to make something. And we were not in a position to invest in putting magazines out to lose money on every one that we sold.
Yeah, well, that's something I learned. I thought you were still on newsstands out there. Hey, let's see. KF7PCL says he's listening to the show on his RTL SDR receiver. So, wow, isn't it kind of funny how all this technology comes together? Here's a guy who's got a little dongle SDR receiver and watching a ham show or listening to it. Yeah. Okay, well, Rich, I think we probably need to go ahead and move on to our next segment in just a moment there. You're going to be in Dayton, I suppose, so will we see you up there?
I am planning to, and hope to see you there, and thank you for inviting me on the show, and I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed having you, and be sure and come by our booth up here in Dayton. We'll be in the Silver Arena SA302, I think is the booth. So if anybody comes to Dayton, just be sure and drop by. So thank you very much, Rich. Enjoyed talking to you, and we'll get you back on here again, and you can give an update a little later.
Okay, thank you, and 73 to everybody out there.
Thank you. Bye-bye. That was Rich, W2VU, the editor of CQ Magazine. We're going to see if we can get our other guests on here. We're running a little late tonight, but I think we had a good show so far tonight. We're going to be working on the show where people can actually call into the show. We will be opening up telephone lines and so forth. That's being planned to come up real soon, where people from around the world can call in. Again, we want to try to work our shortwave listeners into our webcast. So we're going to be modifying our webcast a little bit here to take in everything from ham radio to Arduino, near space balloons, everything, shortwave. And let's see, I'm just checking the chat room here. All right, I see Kurt, WA2JSG up in New Jersey. Hi, Kurt. All right, we got a signal report 60 over in the middle of Tennessee on 5085. Well, you must be close because the transmitter is in the middle of Tennessee. It's in Lebanon, Tennessee. So let me just mention again, everyone's listening to us on Shortwave tonight, radio station WTWW from Lebanon, Tennessee in the United States of America. And presently the frequency is 5085 kilohertz. We'd like to hear from you if you're a shortwave listener. Please email tom@w5kub.com, tom@w5kub.com. Also, we hope that you're joining the live video chat room here. So go to w5kub.com if you have a computer close by, and you can actually watch the show and see all of our guests here, and you can interact with us with the chat room. Again, I want to thank Ted Randall, W8PUM, for making this broadcast possible. Ted is an old pro at being on the radio, and I tell you, we threw this thing together. We knew we were going to do it tonight, but 20 minutes before the webcast, we did not have a remote link working or remote link up to put the show on shortwave. And in that last 20 minutes, Ted and his engineers jumped through all kinds of hoops and did some magic and got some smoke and mirrors out, and Ted was able to connect our feed into the shortwave station there. My understanding is, and I've seen some pictures, and maybe next week we'll show you a video of the transmitters and of the antennas, but this is a 100,000 watt transmitter. Ted tells me it has an 18 dB gain rhombic antenna. Now, if you do the math, every 3 dB, the signal or the power doubles every 3 dB. So with 18 dB a gain, 100,000 watts, if you do the math, the effective radiated power comes out about 3,200 kilowatts, I believe. I just did that in my head. So anyway, Ted's going to be a regular on the show. If we can talk him into it. We'll see. So we'll see how that goes. Join our Facebook group. There's a button at the bottom right below the chat room. If you're not on the computer, search for W5KUB. Join that Facebook group, and you'll be getting a lot of information about the webcast. So again, a couple announcements real quick. We'll be webcasting the Memphis, Tennessee Hamfest Saturday, April 11th, between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. That's 1400 UTC on Saturday on W5KUB.com. We'll be giving out prizes to our viewers. Also, we'll be in Dayton, Ohio, May 13th through the 17th for, I call it the world's largest ham convention. We will have astronaut Doug Wheelock join us again this year. He was our co-host last year. Let me see, I've got a picture of Doug here. There's a picture of Doug. He won't be in that spacesuit, but he will wear his jumpsuit, his blue jumpsuit, and he will sign autographs and take pictures with you. And Doug is a really friendly guy to visit with and talk to. So that's what we'll be doing in mid-May. We've got, again, a large number of prizes that we give out to our viewers. So let me try Fred Lloyd one more time. Oh, we've got sound on 5085. It's hi-fi now. Boy, that's good. I'm glad the audio's sounding good. All right, well, we're not able to get Fred there. So I'll tell you what, and again, we're running a little late, but that's okay. We've just got another segment left here on the show. Our next segment, it's going to be time for vintage radios. Now, we started a section on vintage radios. I'd like to see old pictures of radios, but I'm not getting very many in here, so we're going to change that. Let's change it to any pictures of radios. So send us a picture of your ham shack, and even you shortwave listeners, send us a picture with you listening to the radio. Tell us where you are, and maybe a signal report, and we'll put your picture on the next live webcast next Tuesday night. Send your pictures to Tom at W5KUB.com. That's Tom at w5kb.com. So we got this one picture tonight. It's from Charles, KB8BFM in St. Albans, West Virginia. Well, Charles sent this picture in. This is some old equipment here. He's got a DX40 up there. He's got an HW29 and a Kenwood TS30. And if you look at the TS30 there, the Kenwood, he's got the matching VFO and the matching antenna tuner. So that's what it looked like back years ago now. I found a picture of Charles here. Here he is today. Look at this. He's operating CW. That is cool right there. He looks like he's concentrating and doing CW. And looks like he's still got that 830 radio. And let me tell you, these radios last a long time. That radio there works as good today as it did 30 or 40 years ago. And I've got a lot of my radios here that are that old. We just don't want to get rid of them. We might not use them that much. They sit around, but let me show you. Since we didn't get any pictures, I'm going to throw in one of me. There I am at 16 years old. That picture was made in 1964. Back then, we didn't have transceivers. You can see right in the center there's a transmitter. That was a night kit transmitter. On the left there's a Helicrafter's SX140 receiver, and then on the right side that's a Heathkit DX40 maybe. I don't remember what that is. So that's my ham shack back then, 16 years old, and then of course as people grow and collect stuff and trade stuff. A lot of mine was traded. And then here's what the shack looks like today. I'm not sitting there. I'm not quite as skinny as I used to be, but you know, that's what the shack looks like today. So, hey, everybody, send us pictures. Send us pictures of your ham shack. Send us pictures of you listening to Shortwave, and we will put them on the show. Okay, so wow, I didn't get to show you guys the. We were so busy tonight. The different views we've got. We've got cameras around the position here tonight. There's one from the left side. We've got one from the right side, just to break up the monotony a little bit, because I know it gets real boring looking straight in all the time. So that'll give you a little bit different perspective of the ham shack back here. Guys, I think that is just about the show tonight. Now, what we're going to do now, I'm going to send out a link here on, again, a link that people can join our show. This is the fun part here. This is the fun part. This is called Roundtable, and this is where anybody out there that has a camera can join us and get on the show. You can actually have your video and audio on the show. We can take up to 10 people at a time, and we'll bring you on the show. Now, sometimes it gets a little noisy, and when the gang gets on there at first, it's a little disorganized, but after a couple minutes, it quietens down. So come in just to say hello. Come in just to listen if you want to. But if you'll click on that link and you have a Google Plus account, you should be able to join us on video. So we're going to go to Roundtable now. I want to thank everyone, all of our shortwave listeners, for coming on here tonight. This was a first for us. We're going to try to do this each webcast, and hopefully we can incorporate both the shortwave and the ham radio into a very good group here. So don't go away. I'm going to put some music on here. I'm going to put a picture on here just for a minute. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do this. We'll put the side picture on here, and I'll just leave that picture on for a second while I try to get onto Roundup. So it's going to take me a minute to log in. Thank you, Chip, and also Kurt. Thank you very much. So it's going to take me a minute to log in. So if you guys beat me into the Hangout group there, the link, just stick in here and talk to each other. I'll try to join you in a minute, and then we'll put you on the webcast. So for now, just stand by. Don't go anywhere. If you're not going to call in with your camera, you can watch everybody. You'll get to see us, and I don't know. Maybe we'll have somebody tell jokes or something or make fun. I don't know. You never know what you're going to see. So stand by.